everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, July 30th, 2017. We're premiering a new game show on CBS this week. It's called Cane Ashby, How Low Can You Go? Oh, Cane, why? Everybody wants to believe in you. Lily wants to believe in you. Your kids want to believe in you, and you make it so hard. Cane right now is giving us the classic tale of a man who has told one or two little lies, and then he's had to tell progressively bigger lies in order to cover up the original ones until he's stuck in this cycle that he just can't get out of. Flash forward to right now where he's out of a job, he's got a woman pregnant outside of his marriage, and he's considering dipping into his children's school fund in order to pay off a blackmailer. I'm so disappointed in him. I think that it's been, though, entertaining to watch the complete isolation and desperation of Cane Ashby from all angles. I just hope we don't find him standing over a dead body one of these days. That's what I keep waiting for. I keep asking myself, how low is he going to go? How far is he going to go before he actually hits rock bottom? Is this it, or do we have further to go? And furthermore, what do you guys want to see out of this? I think we should start out with a poll this week. I'd love to know from you guys, would you rather see Cane be punished for all of these lies and all of this deceit? I mean, maybe now and from the past. Or are you ready to see Cane redeemed? YRChat.com. If you'd like to vote in that poll, give me your comments about Cane. Would you rather see him punished at this point, or would you rather see him redeemed? I think that Cane is in a cycle of self-punishment, but I just have this feeling that we have not hit rock bottom yet. He has a ways to go. He is desperate right now for money, and we know that being desperate over money can make people do crazy things. He has lost not only his job, but the problem for Cane is that he's lost his credibility. He's lost his hireability. The scandal that's following him is making it difficult to find a new job. He actually interviewed with Jack this week to get a job at Genoa, and I thought it was a match made in hell. I thought it was going to work out perfectly. He's sitting there in Jack's office giving Jack a preview of his insider knowledge of all the inner workings of Brash and Sassy, Genoa's biggest competitor. I mean, it was shady business, honestly. I mean, Cane is a guy who tries to be shady, and I don't even think he pulls it off very well. But he was trying to wink at Jack, saying, well, if you give me a job, then I'm going to give you information about Brash and Sassy. It's ridiculous that Cane would not have some sort of non-compete clause or something in his contract with Brash and Sassy that would forbid him from just turning around and telling everything about a competitor. But I'm gonna let that slide for the moment, because Victoria actually did catch Cane back in the building. She knew he was interviewing for a job with Genoa, and Victoria immediately turns it around, runs to Jack and says, look, if you hire him, I am going to tell my mother. I mean, I was sort of expecting Victoria to threaten some sort of legal action, but no. She says, if you hire Cane, my mom is not going to like that very much, and I can see that you two are trying to develop a relationship. How do you think she's going to feel about you trying to screw over my company? So that was a little bit unexpected that Victoria took that angle. And I thought it was a little bit surprising that Jack went for it, that he said, okay, fine, I won't hire Cane. He didn't want to do anything to hurt Nikki or to damage his relationship with her, although I don't know. There's part of me that was so bummed out that it looked like it would have been a perfect setup for Cane to work at Jabot, putting him, surprisingly, something I didn't even think about, putting him in a competitive position with his wife, where they're working for competing companies, and where Cane would have an opportunity to spill brash and sassy secrets to Jabot and possibly hurt Lily's career. Not that I want Lily to get hurt, but that I thought that would be some juicy tidbits for storyline there. But no, it didn't end up happening. Cane didn't even end up getting the job. And the interesting thing about Cane here too is that he seems to see himself in his own mind as a victim. Cane is a victim of himself. I mean, everything that Cane is going through, unless Juliet's lying about the baby and the pregnancy and the sex and all that, is self-inflicted. Cane has done all of this to himself, yet he seems to see himself as a victim, and specifically, he really blames Victoria for the fact that he's been fired and then he can't get another position, as if it's all Victoria's fault. I don't know what Cane expected her to do. He was getting ready to screw Victoria over again if he had the chance. Not only did he lie to her and cost her company millions, but then he was going to turn around and screw her over by taking a job with her biggest competition and telling them all of her company's secrets. So what did he expect Victoria's reaction to be? There was a great confrontation, though, between them, where Cane comes down to the lab and he's accusing Victoria of blackballing him, and she says, I'm not doing anything to you, Cane. This is all on you. You're a liar and a cheater. And Cane just snaps back without missing a beat and says, yeah, well, you're a stone-cold bitch. I could not believe that he said that out of nowhere. That is almost not even characteristic of Cane Ashby. He's a lot of things, but to call a woman a bitch to her face, I was shocked by that. I was half expecting them to make out after that. Am I the only one who took a beat and just went, I know, she's like, you're a liar and a cheater, and he's like, you're a stone cold bitch, and I just imagine them immediately like smooching, like locking face, and all of a sudden like making angry love all over the lab, like smacking beakers onto the floor. That would have been that would have been an unexpected twist, maybe something a little fun, but no, there's no love lost there. We need that rivalry to further our Romeo and Juliet storyline, we can't forget. But yeah, that was very, very unexpected, and Cane is just once again left out in the cold. He has no job. It's one more door that's been closed in his face. So if Cane can't get a job, Lily, who is just such a shining example of a woman, of a leader of her family right now, she decides if Cane can't get a job, I'm going to try to boost my career. She says, I'm going to maybe see if I can hook back up with the talent agent and book some commercials and get some other kind of work so that I can bring in some additional income for our family. She's so smart and she's just so together. I'm really impressed with Lily right now. Unfortunately, she decided to take Jordan's advice and record a screen test at the GC Buzz office because they have the backdrops, there's cameras there and everything. So Lily does this kind of, let's just say, not stellar screen test. Not a lot of zazz, not a lot of oomph, not a lot of life in her screen test, but she does the whole thing thinking she did a good job in front of Hillary. Okay, so Lily's recording this script, doing her thing. Hillary's off in the background, just happens to be watching, and she's thinking to herself, I could do this better. And she does. As soon as Lily leaves, Hillary grabs the script, records her own screen test, sends it off, and ends up getting the job. That's the kind of Hillary I actually like seeing. That was an underhanded move that I thought really worked for her character. It wasn't that she was trying to destroy anybody's life. It was that Hillary was doing kind of a I'm better than you kind of move, you know, like, let me show how I'm better than you. Oh, I'm gonna take this job right from under you. I don't think she was trying to screw with Lily's family income or anything. I think it was purely about, you know, Lily always having this air of better than you when it comes to Hillary, and I think that was Hillary's opportunity to twist the knife just a little bit. But it does unfortunately create the effect of cutting off an opportunity for some extra income for the Ashby family. I feel bad for Lily. I feel bad for the kids. Just when I'm thinking, how, you know, especially when it comes to Lily, like how much can one woman take? How much can one woman put up with her poor decision-making husband? Jesse, the cameraman, returns to the scene. We all knew that was gonna happen. It's funny that everything seems to be coming down on Cane all at once. It's been a little bit of a slow burn, but it's like right now, this is the last thing he needs to have the hammer coming down on his head. Jesse, the cameraman, is coming back into town looking for work, realizing that the whole situation with that hockey footage ended up having the effect of blackballing him from getting certain jobs, and so he decides, forget it, I'm just gonna blackmail Cane some more. Why not? He gives Cane a call and says, guess what? I would like now to have $25,000 to continue to keep my silence for what happened. I mean, this is insane. I don't know how Cane could even consider giving this guy one single dime. He's already paid him off twice. I would not even for a moment, especially in Cane's situation, I would not even for a moment consider giving him anything else. I think it's time for Cane at this juncture to show a little bit of growth here, continuing to cover up things that you've done just gets you in deeper and deeper. Didn't you learn anything about secret keeping from the big blow up that happened with Juliet? I feel like once again it's Cane stuck in this cycle of lies, and the only thing he can think to do to get out of the cycle is to continue to lie. It doesn't occur to him that the truth is an option, or that there may be any other kind of option other than to just give in to the blackmail. I'm so disappointed in him. He's trying to find now the money. He's trying to come up with a way to pay off the blackmailer, and he opens up the family bank account, and then we as the viewers get a financial snapshot of the Ashby family, which I found absolutely fascinating. I love anytime Y&R shows us hard numbers, hard financial figures, because we believe these people are fabulously rich. And then Cane opens up the family checking account, and he's got like $1,700 in savings. He had $800 on a credit card. I don't know if that was they had an $800 credit line, and I don't know if that means that that's their credit line or that's what they owe on their credit card, but then they had this big chunk of money, just so happened to have a big chunk of money, $30,000 in fact, in a school savings fund for the two kids. I can't imagine spending $30,000 on high school for my child. Like, and furthermore, people who only have $1,700 in savings should not be spending $30,000 on high school. I was just shocked at how fabulously wealthy these people are supposed to be. They have these excellent jobs. Like they have got to be making $250,000 a year, and they have $1,700 in savings. Please tell me that there are other accounts that we did not see. Please tell me that there is at least a 401k. Please tell me there is a 401k. How does Cane think that he is going to transfer the bulk of their account away into some unnamed account, some unnamed transferred bank account somewhere, and Lily's not going to notice? They conveniently have $30,000 in the school fund. Jessie wants 25. You don't think she's going to notice that most of their savings is now gone? Ugh. I'm so disappointed in him. He is I'm so sorry, Lily, that your husband is a poor decision maker. He has a lot of good qualities, but he is a poor decision maker. And it is really sad to think about Cane as someone who I do think just wants the best for his family. He wants his kids to have great schooling. He wants to have a healthy marriage, but he just can't seem to pull off any kind of like nefariousness in the way that other people can. He's just, I don't know if he's just not wired that way, but he can't seem to get it right. It's like it doesn't occur to him to do the right thing, but he's terrible at doing the wrong thing. He was getting ready to do it. He was getting ready to transfer away the school funds when he was interrupted by Lily coming home. If she hadn't walked in the door, he would have pushed send and sent away their life savings to a blackmailer. Oh my gosh, I would kill him. I would kill him. It does not matter how tight his jeans are and how great he looks in them. I would kill him. Oh. Meanwhile, he does look good in those jeans though. Meanwhile, Jesse is at Crimson Lights, and who does he happen to run into? Billy. He's sitting there waiting for Cane's transfer of money to come through to his account. He realizes that Cane isn't paying up fast enough, so he looks right at Billy and says, "You know what? What's the truth worth to you? You want to know what happened on that hockey shoot? I'll tell you. How much is it worth to you?" So I don't know what's going to happen next week. I'm not sure if Billy's going to end up learning this info. He probably will. He's probably going to get the info. He's probably going to pay for it too. Billy probably at least has like $15K in Johnny and Katie's preschool fund. I do love Reed and Mattie's innocent little budding romance inside of this tale of lies and deceit. It's such a contrast between the adult and the young worlds, you know? It's just very sweet to watch them developing their romance inside of it. They had a movie date this week, and then they had their first kiss, and I felt like I was there. I felt that it was a first kiss for Mattie, and that it meant a lot to her, and that it also is a major red flag for Charlie. I actually, as much as I do like the romance between Mattie and Reed, I also am starting to really like the way that Charlie is being presented. I don't think of him anymore as just a bully. He made a point of mentioning to Reed this week that he's also Mattie's twin. That's a strong, strong bond. They've known each other their entire lives. And Charlie is seeing Mattie kissing Reed for the first time. He knows this is a big deal for her. He just had this moment where he stopped being a bully and he just started being a brother for a brief moment. And he does try to discourage her from dating Reed, and even though I love Mattie and Reed, I can kind of see where Charlie's coming from. Reed's mom fired their dad. The family situation is really tense. It's really awful right now. And Charlie just says to Mattie, don't make it worse. And I think that it's wrong, of course, to put that guilt on her. There's nothing wrong with her pursuing her relationship with Reed. It can exist independently. But I also just understood for a brief moment where Charlie was coming from. I mean, you know, Dad's already like desperately trying to toss the football around with Charlie, trying to act like everything's fine. He went out and bought like 6 new types of cereal to try to make everything okay. I mean, it's a nice gesture, but like, can we really afford 6 new cereals right now, Dad? 6? I just don't think that people who have $1,700 in savings can be blowing all this money on cereal. So I got where Charlie was coming from. We don't want to make the situation any worse. I don't think that Mattie by any means is going to be easily dissuaded from her relationship with Reed, but I do think she heard Charlie, and I like that it creates just a little bit of tension, a little bit of hesitation. You need something in there other than just an easy romance. There has to be some kind of conflict. And I think that Mattie is the kind of person who is going to try to prioritize things in her life. I mean, here, if you think about it, Charlie and Mattie have always looked up to their dad. Cane has always been their hero, and now they're realizing that he is a human being who's made some pretty bad mistakes, and maybe this is the time where you need to do what your parent says, not what your parent does. You need to be the kind of person that they told you to be, not necessarily the person that they themselves are. So I can see Mattie deciding to prioritize her, you know, the right things in life, prioritizing her new internship at the Hamilton Winters Group instead of going out to the underground with Reed. You know, I think that I could see Mattie maybe choosing to spend some time with Charlie since he is her family over spending time with Reed sometimes. I don't know why all of a sudden I feel so sad for Charlie, but I think part of it was the fact that he does seem like a really good boy, and that was apparent when he was doing his job lifeguarding at the pool this week. He is just like trying to go around, make sure all of the patrons are comfortable, being nice to the club's clientele, and I got the sense from him that he was just being the nice, responsible boy that his parents raised him to be, and that he wasn't just this one-dimensional jock, one-dimensional bully. Like, he was being a really nice boy, and he was being you know, nice including to Juliet. I mean, she's sitting there on the rooftop having a nice tea and enjoying some sun, and without even knowing who she is, Charlie comes up to her and he's trying to make sure that she's very comfortable, and he offers her an extra drink, and there was just like a nice little moment between those two, and I just thought that it was really sweet, and it spoke a little bit more to Charlie's character. Cane ended up walking in and seeing Charlie talking to Juliet, and he didn't like it. He was like, I'm not happy about my son being nice to this woman. I mean, Charlie still doesn't know that was the Juliet, the woman. I'm sure he's gonna find that. I almost kind of wonder if Charlie and Juliet are gonna be a little bit friendly, and then he's gonna find out. I wonder what kind of conflict that's gonna create within the family. But even though I will say that Cane seemed really irritable with Juliet this week, but there was also a point where I thought maybe he was a little less hateful toward her. Like, when he saw her talking to Charlie, I thought, oh, he is gonna hit the roof. And even though he wasn't happy about it, he did seem a little soft softer and maybe even a little more accepting toward Juliet and toward the situation and to the fact that this is his baby and he can't just stick his head in the sand and not think about it. So it seemed maybe like a little bit of a shift in Cane's attitude toward Juliet. Part of me part of me can't figure out if he's gonna end up killing her or ending up with her in the end. Victoria runs into Juliet at the hospital, and Juliet has just had her first sonogram, and she seemed excited and also so lonely, like there's no one to share this moment of joy with, but Victoria's there, so she will do. Although I don't know how Juliet can expect Victoria to congratulate her on the baby. I don't know what Victoria expects of these people. I don't even know if this baby is going to end up being born. Do you guys think that Juliet will end up having the baby, or are you getting tragic vibe out of this whole thing? I do get tragic vibe out of Juliet sometimes. She was trying to explain herself to Victoria, saying, you know what, I just want to take this opportunity to tell you that I wanted to do a good job at Brash and Sassy. I wanted to be invaluable to you, and I wanted to be there. Victoria just looked at her dead in the face and said, oh really? You loved a job? You wanted to be at a job where you were being sexually harassed? Snap. Did Juliet forget who she was talking to for a minute? It's as if Juliet just expects everybody to accept that she just did what she had to do in order to get some money after being fired. No, that's not acceptable. I mean, the fact that you lost your job, you should have just gone out and got another job. You should have done the right thing. Suing the former employer, lying and suing the former employer is not acceptable, and there's no reason why everybody around her should just accept that that's what she had to do. I don't know. Juliet also brings up to Victoria the hockey league footage thing, so she's still thinking about the whole snafu with the hockey league and the fact that she lost her job over that snafu. I wonder what's going to happen when Juliet finds out that Cane was ultimately the one responsible for her losing her job. Do you think that Juliet would be pissed at Cane? Or, because all that's going to come out, or do you think that she will somehow maybe accept him? Maybe she will be the only one who accepts him and forgives him, and maybe that will kind of draw them together a little bit. It's so weird because I could see it going both ways. I could see something happening to Juliet and her going away, but I could also maybe even see her getting her turn with Cane for a while. I don't know. I do know that as soon as the whole debacle about the hockey league bribe comes out, Victoria is going to hit the roof. I mean, Cane has been blaming her for everything that's gone wrong in his life for weeks now, and especially after this big confrontation. Just wait until Victoria realizes exactly how Cane brought all of this upon himself. I am kind of worried that Victoria is going to have, at the very least, maybe a panic attack or something. After she had more of these dizzy spells, she did go to the doctor this week, and the doctor ordered I don't know if it was a CAT scan. He did some kind of scan on her, and the results came back as normal. But he scolds her, telling her, you probably did have a concussion and you didn't do anything about it, and it could have ended up serious. You basically had an untreated concussion and you just ignored it. So I think that that might just be an indicator that Victoria is not taking good care of herself. And I don't think that she necessarily wants to lean on Billy through all of this. I don't think she necessarily wants his help with taking care of herself and taking care of her family, but Billy does seem to want to be there for Victoria. And I hope that Phyllis can handle this, because Billy and Phyllis are in a really good place right now, and I really enjoy watching them just being in love and being relaxed, watching them being in lust. Like Billy and Phyllis work for me right now. I hope that wasn't a Freudian slip. I really like Billy and Phyllis. They are probably becoming one of my favorite couples on the show. I like them even in their relaxed state. I don't need them to have some kind of conflict right now. I have just been enjoying watching them be who they are, but I worry about Phyllis because so far she has been uncharacteristically mature about the fact that Billy and Victoria are spending so much time together. The old Phyllis never would have accepted that. Like, Phyllis discovers Victoria passed out in the elevator after her confrontation with Jack. The old Phyllis probably would have like kicked Victoria and let the elevator doors close and would have left her there, honestly. This Phyllis was way more compassionate towards someone who the old Phyllis would have seen as an enemy. And furthermore, Phyllis respected Victoria's wishes to not tell anyone about the fact she kind of came to in the elevator and said, it's not a big deal, I didn't eat today, don't tell anyone. And Phyllis respected that. She didn't tell Billy, she didn't tell anyone else, even though Victoria ended up telling Billy later anyway. But I think that Phyllis is starting to see Billy being drawn into Victoria's world, and it was a sad moment where Billy had an opportunity to watch the kids while Victoria went to the doctor, and he told Phyllis that he thought it would be better if maybe she didn't come over to the house with him. And I kind of think that he started feeling like that was the wrong thing to do, bringing Phyllis over to Victoria's house onto her territory and into the kids' home. I think Billy started feeling like maybe I should have done this in some sort of neutral location. Maybe that was the right move all along. And I think that Billy is also trying to save Victoria from any more stress. He knows that she's under a lot of stress right now and he just doesn't want to contribute to it. But Phyllis was a little taken aback by that, I think. I think she didn't entirely understand where Billy was coming from, or she struggled with it. I think it hurt her pride a little bit because Phyllis is always someone who has struggled to see herself as worthy or to see herself as enough for her man. And when Phyllis mentions Victoria passing out in the elevator to Jack plants this insidious little seed in Phyllis's mind about the possibility that Victoria could be pregnant. Now, Jack knows Phyllis. Jack knows how Phyllis's mind works. And even if Jack knows that that's not true for a fact, which, who knows, the seed of insecurity that Jack planted in Phyllis's mind, he knows could so very easily grow into a giant tree of insecurity in record time. Ashley and Dina and Abby had their girls' spa day this week. I thought it was so fun to see the three generations just lying there with all wrapped up. They had cucumbers on their eyes. I couldn't help but wonder how hard it was to do those scenes with cucumber slices on their eyes, especially Dina. She was talking and it seemed like the cucumber slices kept wanting to slide down her face. But it was a really cute moment. I liked that Dina seemed to kind of confess that she does miss being up in the business mix, but then she downplayed it later when Ashley brought it up. There was this dinner between Dina and Graham and Jack and Ashley at the athletic club. It was a little bit tense after everything that went down last week, but it was clearly this family trying to mend fences a little bit, and Ashley was there trying to ferret out information. Jack was there trying to mend the fence, even though Graham was sitting next to him. I really like Jack, by the way. I keep wanting to mention that Jack is so right now. He is a gentleman when he needs to be. He is a villain in a good way when he needs to be, and he's a smart ass the rest of the time. I feel like I've hit the correct temperature of Jack right now, and I'm really liking it. The thing is last week, I felt so sure that Dina was suffering from Alzheimer's. I think we were all ready to proclaim that that was the mystery behind the secret that Dina is keeping, that she's having Alzheimer's. But then this week, her memory seemed perfectly sharp because she's sitting there talking to Jack about the Abbott cabin, saying that she remembers the last time she was there, they had a family trivia night. I mean, this is decades ago, and she remembers the exact question and the answer that they won their trivia night on. And it was like this super proud moment for her and for Jack, and it was just like, okay, well, her memory seems perfectly sharp. She could even like name all of the Kardashians. I couldn't do that. Like Dina, her memory is better than my memory at this point. She could probably remember Y&R storylines from more than a year ago. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's Alzheimer's now. I wish Y&R would pick a direction and go with this. It's kind of... I don't know. I don't know if Y&R is still deciding where they want to go. I don't know if they knew what they wanted to do all along. But Ashley tells Ravi this week that after spending all this time with Dina, she's diagnosing her as just having depression. She calls Ravi and says, I just think my mom is depressed. Are Ashley and Ravi an item? Are they actually together or not? Can we get to the bottom of this? Do Ashley and Ravi snuggle? Do they kiss? Is there any chance that she is giving him a little something on the side? Does she go home at night and see Ravi? Does he unzip her beautiful Versace dress and unfold her out of it? Does she pull his punny screen printed tee up over his head? And do they get it on? This is what I want to know. This is more juicy to me. Inquiring minds want to know that. Can we get to the bottom of that? Y&R. I just somehow think that depression does not cover it. I don't think that it's depression. I think there's something going on with Dina, and her relationship with Graham is tied to it. What did you guys think about Graham and Gloria's lunch date this week? I loved it. I love Graham and Gloria. I think Graham seems really into Gloria, and she deserves that. She seemed into him. Like, Graham is very charming, and you could tell that Gloria was very charmed by him. I think they could definitely have a potential relationship. It was interesting that Gloria asked him if Dina knew that they were seeing each other at that time, and he said he doesn't have to clear his personal schedule with Dina. She didn't happen to know that they were together, no. But he does, you know, he's not obligated to tell her every single thing he does. So he was kind of establishing his independence from her. But I just can imagine that Dina would not like it. I can just imagine that Dina is going to find out that they're seeing each other a little bit on the side, and she's not going to be happy about it. Whether it's jealousy or just concern over the fact that it's Gloria, I don't know. But I keep imagining like this big climatic scene where, you know, Dina and Gloria are arguing over Graham, and Gloria declares, you know, you can't tell him who to date. He's not your husband. He's not your boyfriend. And I could just almost hear Dina saying, no, he's my son. Hillary goes ahead and airs the hidden parking garage footage of Victor punching Nick. And here I'm thinking that there's going to be hell to pay as soon as this recording is over. But after it airs, Hillary gets this text message from Victor with an emoji thumbs up. First of all, can you imagine Victor scrolling through his emoji list looking for the thumbs up and sending it to Hillary? Something about that is a little, that was more shocking to me than the actual twist itself. Although it was a nice little twist that Victor knew about it all along. It turns out that Hillary really did have a green light to air that footage. And the Newman family was none too happy about it, though. Nick marched into Hillary's office because almost immediately, of course, he's threatening to sue, throwing threats around everywhere. And Hillary just says, you can take your threats elsewhere. Your father is behind this one. Just so you know, Victor is behind it all. So, I mean, it was, I think, probably one of those moments of not expecting it and then going, oh yeah, I probably should have expected that. Victor is gone for a little bit, so Nick has some room to maneuver here. I think that Nick is bound and determined to be not like his father. I think that's exactly where Nick's head is right now. He just doesn't want to be Victor at any cost. And I'm worried that that is going to cost him. He goes and talks to Noah and decides that he is going to try to be supportive of his son the way that Victor was never supportive of him, and he decides to push in all his chips, go all in for Noah and his idea for the underground expansion. And I'm so worried because they had this conversation where Nick, with his business experience, is suggesting that this is a chain of stores. We need to do a slow rollout. We need to see if this works. We need to do some testing. But Noah is more young. He has less experience, and he just has this great idea and these big plans, and it's going to be excellent, and it's going to be a success. But that feels like a red flag to me. I'm sorry, but I think Nick was right. I think being conservative would have been the smarter approach to this. But instead, I think Nick is being guided by his desire to support Noah. I think Nick is afraid of being stifling to Noah the way his father was stifling to him. So he tells Noah, okay, we'll go ahead with this idea as you see fit. I'm just the investor. But then Nick is dipping into his trust funds for the funding. I just have a bad feeling that this idea is going to end up like collapsing and leaving Nick with fewer millions. After Hillary aired that footage and Nick went to confront her, he was kind of ripping into her, and Devon walked in on it and ended up defending Hillary. It's clear to me, at least, that Devon still cares about Hillary. He's not going to let someone threaten her, but he did also admit to Nick later that he's no stranger to dealing with the fallout and being caught in the middle of Hillary's shenanigans. I just wonder why it is that Devon can't see what everyone else sees when it comes to Hillary. Like, he was even recounting the talk that he had with Mariah to Neil, and even Neil told him, look, if Mariah is noticing something still between you and Hillary, then maybe there is something there. But Devon just seems to be blazing forward, determined to move forward with his life, because I think that's the only choice he thinks he has. Even though Hillary has declared to Mariah that she wants Devon back, I don't think that Hillary is being very clear with Devon that she wants him back. So I think he's just trying to move forward the best that he can. He creates this big surprise trip for Mariah. They're going to go to San Francisco and they're going to see some musical acts and their bands specifically that Mariah loves. It was kind of supposed to be part of a grand romantic gesture on their part. Like, they're gonna go on the private jet and there's probably gonna be champagne. It was probably supposed to be romantic, but Mariah pulls in Tessa to go, who pulls in Noah to go, and so now so much for their romantic getaway. It's just gonna be like friendship flight. Friendship flight to San Francisco. So Mariah's still thinking about the other day. She's still thinking about that moment that she had with Tessa, but she seems, I think, kind of terrified to talk about it or acknowledge it. Like, she was sitting there having a flashback of the moment that she shared with Tessa. Tessa's like stroking her hair a little bit, and yet she, I think, is paranoid that Tessa's gonna bring it up or that someone's gonna mention it, because even though we know she's thinking about it, Tessa comes in and there's this moment where Tessa says to her, I have something to confess. Before we go, I have something to confess. And immediately Mariah was uncomfortable. She was like, yeah, and then Tessa, it ends up, was just wanting to say, oh, I've never been on a plane before, yada, yada. But it was like so obvious that Mariah didn't want to talk about it. Like, she's thinking about it, but she didn't want to talk about it, or she was afraid of what it would mean to talk about it. And then there was a moment too at the underground later where she was watching Tessa and Noah seeming genuinely happy as a couple. So I don't know. Last week we had a poll. I asked you guys if you were open to a romance between Mariah and Tessa, and the YNR chatters did speak out. I did not send this to any social media. I don't know if, but it does seem like the people came out in droves, and we do have a 56% majority of, of people saying, no thanks. I do not want to see a romance between Mariah and Tessa. 44% of you gave it a thumbs up and said yes. Let's see where it goes. Honestly, part of me was very surprised that YNR had any further pickup on it this week. There was a part of me that expected YNR to not address it. Like, I was just thinking this is probably going to be it, but it did still linger in the air throughout the week, because it's funny, like, there's still part of me that's going, am I imagining this? Is there something going on here and it's in my head? But then it, you know, every time it actually did seem like YNR picked it up a little bit this week, that they hadn't completely let it go, that they were still teasing it to some extent. And I will read some of your comments on this topic when we get to the comments section. I think that, you know, whether YNR chooses to pursue an actual romantic relationship between Mariah and Tessa, I don't know, but I really do like and appreciate the friendship that is there right now. No doubt about it. I like these two together. I think they play well off of each other. I even like the moment where Mariah was trying to plead to Devon a little bit to allow him for Tessa to come along on the trip, and she kind of grabbed her in, and they just did like a little huggy hug, and it was just really cute, and they both gave him like sad faces. It was just a cute moment. I think that Tessa and Mariah have a similar sense of humor. I think they play well off of each other. They're both kind of like the outsider girls, and they're like the girls who weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouths. So I think it just works even on a friendship level, and we'll see what YNR does with it if they choose to take it further. I still feel, and I'm curious and a little worried though, that there's something more about Tessa that could be nefarious that we don't know. Like, there's still something in me that says, what is it that's in her past? It's been alluded to. We know there's something. I do think that Tessa is being genuine. I don't think that she's trying to scam Noah or Mariah or anybody else. I think she's being real with them, but I also feel like there's some kind of terrible secret in her past. Like, whatever happened to the person she was talking to on the phone when she was first coming into town, saying, you know, she was like giving updates about what was going on with the Newmans, and then, you know, what happened to that Kendall girl? It seemed like she knew Kendall, and that maybe that was her sister, or there was something more going on there. And then we have this whole big bad thing that she was running from in Chicago that happened with the tech guy, and she seemed to be involved in it too. Like, I don't know if she was a victim or a perpetrator of something, but it almost feels like maybe YNR decided to change direction with Tessa midstream, and now they're making her like a total good girl romantic interest. Or, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're gonna end up finding out something seriously shady about her. Can you even believe that Sharon denied Hillary her no-fat vanilla latte, or whatever it was? Coming in between a woman and her coffee is a serious offense, but I thought it was a great little one-up from Sharon. When Hillary aired that footage of Victor and Nick, it caused a problem for Nick, and therefore it caused a problem for Sharon's son. It caused a problem for Sharon's family, and I liked that Sharon told Hillary, you're not welcome here. I don't like what you did, and furthermore, I don't like the way you treated Mariah. I don't like the way you're constantly constantly talking down to her. I thought that was a great moment of Sharon asserting herself. You could tell that she didn't really feel good about it afterwards. Like she was worried that maybe she had overstepped, or she felt like maybe she was meaner than she wanted to be. But it was a confrontation that I wasn't expecting, and it was just a little bit fun. I am really interested in this sex ring storyline that seems to be coming up. Like when she's at the crisis hotline, Sharon gets a phone call from some woman who's calling herself Crystal, and she says that she's being forced into prostitution, which is so sad because I know that that's a real thing. I know that that really actually happens right here underneath our, right under our noses, and it's just to think of somebody trapped in that type of situation is so heartbreaking to me. So I really connected into the story immediately. Sharon connects to this person, wants to help her, of course. She calls Scott and Paul, and they end up talking about the fact that there is a sex ring that's going on that they're trying to bust up. Sharon wants to help. She's waiting for another phone call from Crystal, and in the meantime she's talking to Scott and remembering being pressured into sex when she was raped by Matt Clark. I mean, she recounted that scenario and saying, I said no and it didn't matter to him, and it just, I do remember that. That was right around the time that I started watching. She also even talked about Cassie and Mariah's father, and that he was an older man, I believe she said, and that it led her to giving the babies up for adoption, and she was so out of it. And she just talked a little bit more about some of the darker parts of her sexual past, and I really connected with Sharon in that moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, what it tells us. Is this going to be more of an informative type storyline, or is it going to be connected to other storylines in Genoa City? I know that she's going to get a phone call from Crystal, I think on Monday, and I keep wanting to I keep thinking that maybe this whole sex ring is going to be connected back to that tech guy. What's his name? Kyle or something? What's his face? The guy who created the dating app. I keep wanting to think that maybe the bad guys who are who are operating the sex ring are maybe using the dating app with or without the tech guy's knowledge for prostitution, like to set up dates for prostitution. So I wonder if that's gonna connect into Abby and Scott. Maybe Abby and Scott will end up working with each other to bust this whole ring. On last Friday's show, Abby approached Victoria to tell her about Nikki and Jack and their smooch, and to express the fact that she's afraid of what's going to happen when Victor finds out that Nikki and Jack are smooching, to which Victoria replied, "What do you want me to do, follow you around with an umbrella?" That was our quote from last week. Abby knows that hell is going to rain down in the form of Victor's fury, and Victoria said, "What do you want me to do, follow you around with an umbrella?" I thought it was kind of a funny quote, and let's see, 9 of you guys guessed it correctly, so congratulations to Henry, Sandra, Colleen, Justin, Ambreen, Liz, John Christopher, Melissa, and Amanda. Well done, you guys. I have another quote for you this week, and I don't know why it struck me, but I thought it was cute. Here it is. Food consumed while naked always leads to dessert. Is that true? It might be. Food consumed while naked always leads to dessert. If you think you know who said that, go to yrchat.com, leave your guess, and if you get it right, I will give you a grand congratulations on next week's chat. Okay, let's get to our YNR chatter comments. Daisy on Facebook sent me a message pretty much thinking along the same lines of what I was thinking here. Daisy says, "I still don't trust Tessa." Who is Tessa? Tessa, and where did she come from? I wonder if she was part of or escaped from the criminal enterprise that Paul is looking for. I don't know, but I wonder if Crystal, the person Sharon's been speaking to on the hotline, will end up knowing Tessa. And if that's true, perhaps we'll find out more about Tessa if and when Paul finds Crystal. I'm fascinated by that storyline. I don't know why, but I agree that it is possible that that trail is going to lead back to Tessa. Susan left me a voicemail for the very first time, and she was mentioning a moment where Tessa popped in on Mariah, and Mariah made a comment like, "Are you stalking me?" And Susan was wondering if it's possible that Tessa could actually become Mariah's stalker. I think that Y&R can take this any way they want to. They have got a blank slate when it comes to Tessa. There were moments in the beginning where it really seemed like they were going to make her a bad girl or an opportunist, and then as of late they've been softening her and making her a friend of the Newman family. So at this point it feels like Y&R is doing that a lot. Maybe that's the style of this writing regime. They're just putting out little seeds, seeing how fans react to them, and then deciding. And it does in some ways have the effect of stretching some storylines out. I feel like it's been way too long of us trying to figure out what's going on with Dina. I had said before, I think the Kevin and Chloe storyline was way too dragged out, and maybe in some ways it's like trying to figure out whether a character is good or bad. Like Juliet is another one. We don't really know. I think these writers are just testing waters hardcore, and then they're going to decide what they're going to do. And I think Tessa is probably a very good example of that. On our poll question last week regarding a possible relationship between Mariah and Tessa, I thought I'd read you some of the comments that are kind of on both sides of the fence of this one. The pro-relationship romance, the pro-romance, and the con-romance. Consuela at yrchat.com voted no to a romantic relationship between Tessa and Mariah. She says because of the whole Noah thing, but also because of personal beliefs. But that doesn't mean that I will stop watching the show if Mariah and Tessa were to have a relationship, like some people have said that they would. I think that is an interesting question too. If you voted in the negative of not wanting to see that relationship, would it affect you watching the show? I think that's a good question too. So thank you for all of your thoughtful comments, by the way. Ollie at yrchat.com responded to Consuela with agreeing that Ollie would not want to see a gay relationship between Mariah and Tessa. Ollie says, Mariah is an established adult character. If she would be coming out or exploring her sexuality, that should have happened when she was younger. Her character is not a sheltered or a suppressed woman. It seems like the writers are stretching and running out of material for her. I like her character, and there's lots of past that the writers can tap into for material. So yes, I did see a lot, or I saw more than one comment saying that if Mariah was going to come out with this sexuality questioning, that it would have happened before. Tony at yrchat.com says, having a gay couple of either sex would be a fine addition to the Y&R cast if they bring in the couple as new characters and we accept them for who they are, becoming Genoa City characters. It's the way some people live, not just a change of heart because you can't get a guy. Changing to established characters just for the story shock is not respectful to people who are genuinely homosexual. I did see other, sentiments like that too. That like Tony says, that Y&R fans might embrace a gay couple being on the show a little more openly if it weren't a change of two characters, if it were new characters coming onto the show. Amanda at yrchat.com has a good counter here saying, I don't think necessarily that an established character like Mariah would already have come out if she were gay. Some people have no idea that the feelings they're experiencing are because they are homosexual or bisexual. Sometimes it just lingers in a weird haze. I have friends who've told me as much. And I think that is a very fair point. Also, I had to mention that Amanda says she likes Mariah and Devon as a couple because Devon is very dry and serious, and Mariah makes him laugh. Amanda says they're adorable. They're just a really cute couple together that feel really real to me. Here's a good comment from Aaron on YouTube saying, I'm a gay man myself, so you would think I'd be open to a gay storyline on Y&R, and I am, but for the right character. Tessa's giving me a bisexual vibe, but Mariah is clearly straight, and I don't want her to go lesbian. I'd rather they make a new character that's gay and write a fresh story for them. If they want, I'll write for them because I've got some stories to tell. I bet you do. I thought Henry made a good point too on YouTube, saying we know that Mariah has been intimate with Devon, but we don't know that much about Tessa so far. She and Noah have not consummated their relationship. That's a good point too. I really hadn't thought about it that unless I missed something or didn't think about it. I don't think we've had a scene where Noah and Tessa have slept together. I wonder if Tessa could have been involved in that sex ring in an abuse way, that she was maybe not a facilitator, or that she didn't. I guess that would make sense, right? That Tessa would have been a victim of that sex ring if she was involved in that at all, and so I don't know. Perhaps that could be part of some of her sexual history. I'm not sure. Let's continue with these comments here. Cece on YouTube says, Y&R could use the relationship diversity. There have only been like 6 LGBT storylines in major American soaps. Dina has had more husbands than that. I like that. It's very true, isn't it? Melissa at YR Chat left a great comment here saying, I believe wholeheartedly that we should be as inclusive as possible. The more people represented on the show, the better. I'm loving that Y&R is taking this step to showcase any LGBTQ character of romance, whether it develops into something or not. I find it encouraging. Bring on Tessa and Mariah, Melissa says. And I will end on this note, on this topic anyway, that I really liked from Robbie at yrchat.com, saying the fact is we all want Mariah to find happiness. We want Mariah to experience love and be loved. And if Tessa is the person to bring this to her, then we should all be open to it. Just my 2 cents. I think that we can all agree that we want Mariah to find her happiness. Okay, let's get some comments about Cane. Anna had a good one here. By the way, I meant to say happy birthday to Anna last week. I was like so swept up in reading her comment about Tessa and Mariah. I had it written down that I wanted to say happy birthday, and then I was like, well, crap, I missed it. It threw me off, so I'm sorry. Happy belated birthday, Anna. She says, I was just wondering if Lily might lose her job too if she starts to do other commercials and things. It was Billy who said, sure, but he didn't get Victoria's okay. I didn't think about that, but Billy was the one that gave Lily the green light. He did not get Victoria's permission, so it is certainly possible that Lily could end up losing her job at the end of this. Also, I liked that Anna mentioned how Hillary got banned from Crimson Lights. She says maybe Hillary can now get banned from a whole chain of undergrounds. That would not be a loss, if you ask me. I'd be happy to be banned from the underground. Jamie left me a voicemail, and I liked this line specifically. She says, longer time viewers will remember Cane rolled into town on a train of lies, and he hasn't stopped. It is very true. If you guys haven't seen the article I posted at yrchat.com, it's right there in the sidebar. It's called The Crimes and Misdemeanors of Cane Ashby. If you need a little bit of a reminder that Cane is no angel. It's kind of interesting, though, because we have to, I suppose, forgive and forget in some ways in order to like anybody on the show. There's nobody on the show who hasn't been a little bit of shady in the past. Cane just doesn't quite pull it off the way others do. By the way, my daughter woke up from her nap, so if you hear her banging on her toys, that's what it is. Sorry about it. Superplex at yrchat.com says, one thing that's been puzzling me lately is why the show has decided to take Cane's character so far down. He's been made into a liar, a manipulator, and a philanderer. I just want to pause there for a second because I think it's interesting that Cane kind of came onto the show as a liar and a manipulator, not so much the philanderer, but then they softened him up and he's been our romantic lead for so many years, and I agree, like now they are just really dragging him down. Superplex goes on to say, I'm starting to convince myself that I may have come up with an answer about that. Many people on this site and as well on other channels of the blogosphere have mentioned their belief that Juliet will fall prey to a homicide. What if the writers have chosen to take Cane to a very low point in his life in order to make a case that he was behind Juliet's murder? If Juliet is killed, which will not be too surprising since the show has a reputation for being baby killer, the fact that Cane has lost everything he values in life will make him the most likely suspect, so much more credible. The subplot will eliminate two perplexing issues: continuing to write a storyline for Juliet and banishing the problem of Cane's illegitimate child upon the Ashby household. I'm so glad you said this because I was thinking it too. It is certainly possible that we are being strategically shown Cane at a low point, willing to do things such as spend his child's school fund in order to make it at least a plausibility that he could kill. If Juliet or anybody else winds up murdered, that Cane could be a possible suspect, and it will be a leap of faith that we could conceivably take. I think that's a very good point. Robbie at yrchat.com also says, for sure we're headed into a murder mystery storyline. Juliet will wind up dead and there will be multiple suspects. Not only Cane, but Victoria too. I'm sure her dizzy spells will lead to her forgetting things, and I'm sure the camera guy, here we go. Do you think that the camera guy could be a murder suspect though, or a murder victim? That guy could wind up dead too. He's pretty expendable. In fact, Lotfally at yrchat.com says, I'm not sure Juliet will fall victim to foul play, but the cameraman seems quite dispensable, and he may be destined for the trunk of Cane's Goodfellas Ashby car. I love that movie, so that's I like that poll. I could see it, right? And I also was thinking, the second Jesse came onto the scene, I thought to myself, is it a coincidence that he's showing up at the same time that they're bringing up this sex ring? I'm constantly trying to connect dots on the story. I'm looking for ways for things to interconnect. You think? Is there any chance he might be involved in that? Daisy on Facebook also says, Cane has already been fired. His family is already upset at him because of his actions. I don't see why he would even entertain Jesse's demands. Even if Jesse sold his tape to the Hillary Hour, he would put himself and his future in jeopardy, as no one would ever hire him, knowing he withheld vital footage and extorted someone to keep it hidden. As far as I can see, Cane is the one with the upper hand. I wish he saw that. Yes, yes. Consuela at yrchat.com says, I'm sorry, but Charlie's an ass. Trying to force Mattie and Reed apart and blaming Reed for Victoria and his father's screw-ups. OMG, I am tired of this kid. Let Mattie and Reed have their moment. I feel no sympathy for Charlie at this point if he's going to go after innocent bystanders. So that's interesting. Maybe I'm just all too willing to give leeway to the kid. Is anybody else not feeling Charlie? Feel free to let it rip on him this week. Speaking of Charlie and his little lifeguarding gig, Gary left me a voicemail and he was asking about that the rooftop bar, like the aqua and white and yellow bar, and he was asking where exactly that is located, and I think, if I'm not wrong, that the rooftop bar, it's called the Dive Bar, I believe it's on the rooftop of the athletic club, right? It seems like that rooftop bar popped up on the top of the athletic club at around the same time that Top of the Tower popped up at the top of Newman Tower. So YNR decided to give us some rooftop sets. If I'm not wrong, I think that since Devon owns the building of the athletic club, so he owns that rooftop bar, and I believe that the new set we have this week, the Hamilton Winters Group office, I think that's located inside the athletic club too, right? It used to be, I think, Lily's office when she was running the athletic club, but it seems like they converted it into being the Hamilton Winters Group headquarters. It's got that huge skylight window that looks really cool. I thought it was great. I'm glad that they finally have an office. I'm all for it. Let me just get to a couple more comments here before a little Allie Jr. explodes. Marianne had sent me a screenshot of Soap Opera Digest for the week, and they were cueing in on Greg Ricart possibly making a return to YNR. He was let go in this very unceremonious and kind of scandalous way after 14 years, and Soap Opera Digest was implying that he might already be on the way back. Can you believe that? What was the point of getting rid of him and then bringing him back all of a sudden? It just makes me think maybe it was contract negotiations or something. But so keep an eye out for that. We might be seeing Greg Ricart back on the scene much sooner than expected. Beatrice left me a comment I hadn't thought of at yrchat.com saying, is anybody else having the feeling that Victor took all of Nick's money? I hadn't even thought of that as a potential, but Nick was meeting with his financial advisor and talking about his trust. Maybe when he goes to pull out his money, it won't be there. Good point. Coral sent me a message on Facebook, and she's a first-time contactor. She had been watching the show on and off, mainly on, since almost the beginning. She says she can remember Victor and Nikki's original romance, and Jack and Jill's tryst, and so much more. Coral says, I've been listening to the YNR Chat podcast for over a year, but as Australia is so far behind, it's been hard to get involved in the polls and all of that stuff. But now that they have been running double episodes, it's soon going to be airing in Australia at the same time as in the US. That is fantastic. I've always heard and never really understood why Australian viewers of YNR were like 6 months behind schedule. I had no idea that they're running double episodes to get you guys caught up to the current. That's amazing. Gina, I can't believe you didn't tell me that. Gina's an Australian watcher. I just think that's so great because now you can be up to speed. You can, like, we can all kind of be talking. I don't know why Canada gets the episodes a day in advance. I'm not complaining, but you know, it's just like, I don't know why they don't air it all at the same time. I'm not sure what the logic is behind that, if it has something to do with, I don't know, distribution rights or something, but big thumbs up because that means we can chat with more people from Australia about the current show. So thank you for telling me that, Coral. And thank you to the mystery person has been revealed of who sent the Genoa City soap to Gina Tognoni. Lynn! Thank you, Lynn. She contacted me and let me know that she actually purchased the body of Phyllis whipped body cream and sent it to Gina Tognoni, who opened it. She took a picture of herself with the Genoa City soap whipped body cream. She posted it on Instagram, and I am beyond flattered. So I just have to say a big thank you to Lynn. I never would have thought to put any of this in the hands of any of the people that it's inspired by. Like the Phyllis soaps, lotions inspired by Phyllis, but it would never have occurred to me to send it to Gina. I think I'm probably a little more on like the terrified end of meeting any of these people or having any contact with them whatsoever. So thank you. It's just so flattering to me, and I really, really appreciate that. I've had a lot of people ask me this week when that Phyllis lotion is coming back. I am planning to make it for fall. In the meantime, I made some extras of some of our other favorites. I've got Nikki and Sage. I've got Sharon. Everybody loves the Sharon lotion. I've still got a Lily, and I've got my Naked Heiress too. So that's unscented, and all of these are really good. good. Come and get them. I made some extras for you guys. You can go to genoacitysoap.com if you want to grab those, or if you want to see the picture of Gina. You can go to yrchat.com if you want to leave me your comments about the show, vote in the polls. So happy that we're going to get like Aussie people into the mix now. That's really exciting too. And let's see, you can also go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, lots of different places to leave me your comments. You can call into my voicemail at 309-588-4569. I hope that you guys are enjoying the show and enjoying the chat. I always forget to say hi to the podcast people too. If you don't know, you can always download the podcast version of Way in Our Chat from iTunes or wherever, and you can listen to it in your car. A lot of people do that too, if you're not into the video, or if you don't have time for a full video. Okay, I gotta get going, but I love you guys, and I will be back next week. So everybody have an awesome week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.